The quantum world is a fascinating one. It is unintuitive. It doesn't make sense to us naturally. This is because everything around us doesn't behave in a quantum mechanical way. Quantum mechanical behavior only holds true for very small objects, much smaller than the human eye can see. Some physicists seem to think that it's possible to describe black hole collisions in the same way that we describe particle physics. But quantum mechanics and the theory of gravity, general relativity, famously don't work together. And there's nowhere in the universe where general relativity is more important than around black holes. So why do some scientists think that we could describe black holes as quantum objects? And does this framework actually work? Let's discuss it. To start off, let's discuss a little bit about quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics loosely describes the quantization of classical objects. By this, I mean that the energy levels of a quantum object are quantized into discrete energy levels, rather than a continuum like would be in a classical system. This mathematical framework is incredibly precise, and it has led to many accurate predictions. However, when we're discussing high-energy particle physics, scientists found that this was not enough. Physicists found that if they went through a second quantization, that the maths would better describe the particle physics that they were observing. This second quantization is called quantum field theory, or QFT for short. And this was a quantization of fields that permeate all of space. In regular quantum mechanics, particles are wave functions that have a wave-particle duality. But in quantum field theory, particles are perturbations of this universally wide field. An electron is a perturbation of the electron field. For people that are familiar with quantum mechanics, this means that an electron becomes an operator rather than a wave function itself. But for everybody else, what matters is what we can describe with this mathematical framework and how we can make predictions about the physics that entails it. With quantum field theory, we can predict many things about the universe, which has led to the standard model of particle physics and the prediction of many particles. Most notably, in recent times, the Higgs boson, the force-carrying particle that is responsible for particles having mass. Scientists have spent decades trying to make complex calculations about particle physics much easier. One technique is to use what is called Feynman diagrams to write down an equation for a given interaction, and then to solve this equation to find out the amplitudes of how likely this interaction is to be. This was a neat technique that Richard Feynman invented, which made these calculations much easier. Basically, a Feynman diagram is an illustration of a given interaction, say an electron and a positron scattering off each other. The lines of the Feynman diagram tell us what type of particles need to be included into the equations, while the vertices tell us how to write the equation itself. In this diagram, an electron and a positron are scattering off each other, exchanging a photon for this interaction. In this case, the force between the two particles is mediated through the force-carrying particle of a photon. This is the basic style of these type of diagrams. There is an input and output particles, and in between the interactions are mediated through these force-carrying bosons. A photon for electromagnetism, a Z and W bosons for the weak interaction, and gluons for the strong interaction. These diagrams can be relatively simple, like the one I showed, but they can also be incredibly complicated, with many different virtual particles all carrying this interaction in between. More often than not, the more complex the interaction, the less likely it is to happen, and therefore these can often be ignored. But how is this even related to black holes? Einstein's theory of general relativity is incredibly precise, but it's also incredibly difficult to make calculations in. So much so that we often require incredibly extended periods of time to do these calculations, even with supercomputers. And with all of these gravitational wave detections that are happening in both LIGO and Virgo, it's really important that we're able to simulate these types of interactions so we can start to get a gauge of what the physics is going on behind the scenes. But if each calculation takes several months, then this is a massive roadblock in our understanding of the way these interactions happen and what's going on in extreme gravitational cases. So it's really important that we find ways to calculate these interactions and then make predictions about what type of gravitational waves we should expect for different types of interactions. Some scientists notice that there's a similarity between black hole collisions and particle collisions. At a distance, we could consider a black hole to be similar to a point-like particle that interacts through gravitons rather than any of the other force-carrying bosons. This got them thinking, could they use the framework of quantum field theory to start to explain what's going on when black holes collide? So instead of an electron-positron, they can use two black holes. Instead of a photon mediating the interaction, they can use gravitons. Additionally, they can add an extra term just to account for any gravitational waves that could be emitted. Now, the initial thought is that performing calculations like this, you would get a lot of quantum terms that are imaginary, that somehow are related to the quantumness of the objects. But to their surprise, when they actually performed the calculations, all of these quantum terms cancelled out, leaving only the real, classical terms. And this was a crucial step, because if you perform these calculations, and they made all these predictions about the quantum nature of black holes, we would need to be able to explain why we do not observe any quantum behaviour in black holes. So with only classical components remaining, the quantum field theory was able to predict gravitational waves in a very similar manner to the traditional general relativity approach. Importantly though, the quantum field theory was able to do this much easier, and this could start to lead to making fast and accurate predictions about these type of events. So how good is this technique? Is it even comparable to traditional techniques? Is it less accurate? Well, this is still an open question. While LIGO and Virgo have been absolutely amazing at detecting a lot of gravitational events, much more than many people predicted, they're still relatively insensitive. They can only detect a very small window of the gravitational wave spectrum, and they can only just measure these waves to begin with. Luckily, the European Space Agency and NASA are already working on an upgraded laser interferometer for detecting gravitational waves, the Laser Interferometer Space Antenna, or LISA for short. Similar to the James Webb Telescope, LISA would sit in the Lagrangian point of the Earth's orbit. Allowing it to sit at this Lagrangian point would make the laser interferometer quite stable, and would also rid the issues of having collisions with other Earth-based satellites. Now, this is a really important step forward. The sensitivity of a laser interferometer is directly related to the length of its arms. Now, on Earth, the curvature of the Earth actually becomes a serious problem. So does finding something that's geologically stable enough to actually build these kilometer-long tunnels. But in space, we can make significantly larger distances, and the LISA telescope will have a length that's far greater than the Earth itself. So clearly, this is in a completely different ballpark and is capable of measuring a completely different part of the gravitational wave spectrum. Unfortunately, LISA is only planned to be launched in the early 2030s. So provided there's no delays, we still have many years to wait until we can start to get interesting results from this telescope. So we may have to wait until then to really determine if quantum field theory is a good technique to make predictions about gravitational waves. Maybe this technique will allow us to start to make predictions about what's going on inside of black holes and other really high gravitational phenomena. But maybe it won't. In the end, black holes don't appear to be quantum objects. But maybe pretending that they are could help us to understand them better. This might be an incredibly interesting field in the next coming years. We'll have to wait and see. If you want to know more about current gravitational wave research, check out this video here, where I discuss how scientists are using pulsar arrays to detect gravitational waves that are much larger than the solar system itself. Thanks for watching, have fun, and see you next time.